Hey, it's Joe Barnes from the Screw the System channel, and I'm back with another reaction video. Now, this reaction video is to the documentary that was made earlier this year called Finding Neverland. It was made by director Dan Reed, released I think on HBO and over here in the UK on Channel 4. Now, the reason I'm making this reaction video somewhat after the event is twofold. One, the response to my When They See Us reaction video was positive, so I thought I'd make another one. And two, this week it was recently the 10th anniversary of Michael Jackson's death, so it made cross my mind to make a video on this documentary. Now, the documentary Leaving Neverland, actually before I go any further, actually this really is my thoughts on the documentary rather than an actual reaction video, because I have to be completely honest, I haven't seen the whole documentary. All I've seen is various different clips from the documentary featuring the two main characters, James Safechuck and Wade Robson, speaking about the events. I think I've also seen some clips of their mums speaking about the events or the allegations as well that they make. So it's not a reaction video, it's my thoughts. Now, I think I've seen enough from the documentary to be able to speak on the subject. Also, because I've done a lot of research outside of the documentary, basically covering all the stuff they should have included in the documentary, you know, as in the other side of the story. I think I can put forward a fairly balanced case and make some observations and points. My main reason for making this is because I think the documentary raises some really important questions about the system, in particular one of the arms of the system, which is the media, and the media's ability to shape people's understanding and way they view certain institutions, or in this case, certain people. It's in fact a brilliant case study on how it can control a lot of people's thinking and beliefs and opinions. So let's get straight into my thoughts on the documentary. First of all, I don't believe it. I don't believe the two main characters, James Safechuck and Wade Robson. I don't think they're credible at all. As I said, I haven't seen the whole thing, but from the clips I've seen, I thought that they were really unconvincing. I thought that it looked like acting to me. And the whole sort of X Factor thing where you had the sob story music in the background, it really did seem as trashy as an episode of X Factor. That was how it came across to me. Now, the allegations themselves are somewhat more believable, obviously, because there's a history of this. There's a history of boys at the time making allegations against Michael Jackson, or boys now growing into men and then making allegations against Michael Jackson. These two characters are probably the least believable of all the accusations. They come off the back of failed court cases, attempts to take their case to court, which got laughed out of court basically by judges. One of them, Wade Robson, even went to the Michael Jackson trial in 2005 and defended him under oath, saying that nothing ever happened. And yet we have this situation where so many people believe this Leaving Neverland documentary, and it makes me ask why. Yep, it's obviously staged in a way, it's shot in a way to make it as believable as possible, and to a lot of people that will work. But there's also something deeper at play here, and that's for many, many years, decades I think, you've got to go back to the 1980s, the media has been shaping a narrative about Michael Jackson, and they do this primarily to sell stories. It's sensation. They create a sense of sensation and this wacko jacko character around him. Okay, sure, he makes it easy, or he did make it easy for them to do that. It's not as if he went out of his way to stop that happening. But at the same time, they created this persona in order to sell more newspapers, in order to sell more magazines, in order to get more airtime. You know, this story clearly sells and clearly still has legs on it. And that's why, obviously, they released this documentary. Look at the time they released it as well, when the Me Too movement is particularly strong and powerful. Now, I'm not really going to give my thoughts on the Me Too movement. Perhaps some of it's good, and perhaps a lot of it's good, but obviously in an environment where this issue of sexual abuse is particularly strong, very coincidental that this documentary was made around this time and released when people are very much in a ready to believe anybody with a story of sexual abuse. But I don't think these two characters should be believed. Now, I'm not going to go into the various reasons why they shouldn't. I might touch on one or two of them, but if you want a really good video explaining all the facts supporting the fact that Michael Jackson is innocent, and it really presenting a lot of evidence rather than anecdotes, which is what the documentary is full of, then watch a video by a guy called Razor Fist, I think his name is. The channel is Rageaholic. I will put a link to it in the description so you can look it up there. He really breaks down why, the various different accusations, the Gavin Arvizo accusation, the Geordie Chandler one, recently these two, presents a whole lot of evidence showing why, in fact, Michael Jackson is innocent. However, yet, if you look at popular opinion, people now think that he's a paedophile. In fact, I run tennis camps, and I remember doing a camp for kids, basically, in the spring holidays, and the name Michael Jackson came up somehow. Some of the kids were said something or other. Then the other one went, "Oh, he's a paedophile." And they went, "Oh yeah, he's a paedophile." And I just thought, wow, the media has that much power to shape people's thinkings and understandings of different institutions and other people to the way that they can make them believe a lie. I don't know 100% truth whether Michael Jackson abused these kids and other kids. My thoughts are this. By the way, disclosure, I am a fan of Michael Jackson, but I'm trying to be as neutral as possible. My thoughts are this. Before this recent documentary came out, I was sort of 75% thinking he was innocent of these crimes, 25% thinking, well, it's possible. But that 75% more was probably a hope. You hope that the person you like or you admire is not doing something as horrible as sexual abuse. However, after this documentary and then the research I did into the whole, not just this, but the previous allegations, I've moved to 90% certainty that he was innocent. You can never be completely sure because you weren't there. You don't really know what happened, but there's a mountain of evidence to suggest that he was innocent and that the claims these people have made are just completely spurious. Couple of ones in the documentary. The James Safechuck claims that he was abused in a train station in Neverland. So Michael Jackson had a train station, and above that was a sort of train house, a station house. The only thing was, he claimed he was abused in 1992 there, but there were records saying that the station house wasn't made until 94 or 95. So it's just completely inaccurate. There was another one whereby he said he was abused at Euro Disney by Jackson in 88 or 89. Euro Disney didn't open until the 90s, the very early 90s. So it's just so clear that these two are lying, and Wade Robson just can't be believed full stop, because the guy appeared under oath stating that Michael Jackson never did anything to him. Later on, it still said that many years after, but when his career was on the downslide, when he wasn't getting the gigs as a choreographer that he did before, guess what happens? He changes his story, takes it to court, but the judges laughed it out of court. They just did not believe it. However, in the courtroom of public perception and media, now these two, I'm not saying why, but what I believe, I'm certain are liars, are now believed. And it's incredible how, because the media wants to push this image of Michael Jackson being a paedophile, or being a weirdo, because they know that this sells. And one way you can see through this completely, okay, if you doubt the sexual abuse, you think he might be guilty of that, look at this issue. Look at the issue of his skin changing colour over the years. Now, media has always portrayed this narrative that he didn't want to be black, that he was ashamed of the way he looked, so he wanted to lighten his skin, and he bleached his skin. I mean, it's incredible how they come up with this stuff. But there is a fact, there is real proof out there that this is a complete lie. As he said all along, he had vitiligo. And the coroner's report, the doctor's report on his death, in fact confirmed that he had vitiligo. He was telling the truth. He wasn't wanting to be white. He had that skin condition where you lose the pigmentation slowly over the years. And I think what he said he did, was just wore makeup. So the more and more it occurred, the easier it was to go to a lighter shade. Or whatever he did subsequently, the point is that he had vitiligo. That was true. It wasn't a case of him trying to change the colour of his skin. Yet the media pushed this narrative, and they've been proved to be wrong. So yet again, they're pushing another narrative of him being a child molester. But when you research the evidence, and I'll show you the links so you can look at some of the evidence, and I've glossed very briefly over it with the Leaving Neverland documentary and some of the flaws in that. The evidence actually points to the fact that he's innocent, and that's crazy. That's crazy. The way the media tries to shape our understanding of an individual and institutions as well. It's a powerful tool, the media, and it shouldn't be believed. They're not out there to tell you the truth on things. None of these news stations, none of these magazines, none of these newspapers are out there to tell you the truth. You must understand that. They might occasionally tell you the truth because it fits for their narrative. There's no contradiction. There's no problem in telling you the truth. So of course they're going to tell you the truth sometimes. But their primary mission is not to tell you the truth. It's to sell newspapers, sell magazines, sell airtime. That is their objective. And because that's their objective, they're going to tell you whatever it takes in order to do that. So that's why you have to be really careful about any of the mainstream media, any of the information you get from mainstream media. You always have to filter it through that prism of, are they trying to sell you something here? And if they are, there's probably a deeper story behind it. So that's my thought on Leaving Neverland. And if you want to take it further with some research, I'll leave that link below. Make of it what you will, but be aware of what the media's game is. Okay, see you in the next video.